When the tyrant King Tarquin was cast out of Rome, he did not vanish quietly. Burning with rage and humiliation, he fled north to Clusium, where a powerful Etruscan king named Lars Porsena ruled with strength and honor. There, Tarquin pleaded his case. "Help me reclaim my throne," he begged. "If the Romans get away with casting out their king, what's to stop every city in Italy from rising up? Today me, tomorrow you." Porsena listened. He saw an opportunity to humble the rising power of Rome and perhaps take it for himself. He raised a mighty army, joined forces with Tarquin and his sons, and marched on Rome. But Rome was ready. At the bridge over the Tiber, a single Roman, Horatius Cocles, stood his ground. He fought like a lion while his comrades cut down the bridge behind him. When it fell, Horatius leapt into the river and swam to safety. The gates of Rome remained closed. Frustrated, Porsena began a siege. He surrounded the city, cut off its food, and placed guards on the Tiber to block supplies. Starvation crept in like a silent enemy. Still, the Romans refused to surrender. In response, Consul Valerius launched a daring ruse. A flock of sheep was driven outside the gates, bait for the hungry Etruscans. As expected, enemy soldiers rushed in to claim the prize only to be ambushed by Herminius and Spurius Lartius, the same warriors who had stood beside Horatius. Trapped between three Roman forces, the Etruscans were slaughtered. Yet the siege continued. Rome was starving. But among the city's youth was a young man named Caius Mutius. He burned with shame that free Rome was penned behind its own walls. "Never," he said, "did Rome suffer such dishonor, not even under kings." He went before the Senate. "Fathers, grant me leave to cross the Tiber, to enter the enemy's camp, not as a thief, but to strike a blow for Rome." The senators, seeing the fire in his eyes, agreed. Mucus crossed the river in secret, a dagger hidden beneath his tunic. In the Etruscan camp, he saw a finely dressed man giving orders to the troops, and mistaking him for the king, struck with deadly force. But it was not Porsena. It was one of his nobles. Seized and dragged before the real king, Mucus stood tall and unshaken. "I am a Roman," he said. "I came to kill you, and I fear not death. Know this, I am but the first of 300 young men sworn to end your life. Strike me down if you wish, but know that others will follow." And then, to prove his resolve, he thrust his right hand into the flames of a nearby brazier. He stood motionless as the fire devoured flesh and bone. King Porsena stared, stunned. "Stop," he cried. "You've shown more courage than any warrior I've faced. You are free. Go home with your honor." And so he did. From that day on, Caius Mucus was called Scaevola left-handed, for he had sacrificed his sword hand for Rome. But the story did not end there. Porsena, shaken by Mucus' words and fearing assassination, agreed to discuss peace. He demanded that Rome send hostages to guarantee their good faith. Rome complied, sending noble-born boys and girls, including one young maiden named Cloelia. Yet Cloelia was no ordinary girl. As she and the others were walking beside the Tiber, she turned to them and said, "Do you remember what Horatius did? What Mucus did? Then follow me." And with that, she plunged into the river. With arrows flying and shouts behind them, the girls swam across the wild current and made it back to Rome. When Porsena learned of their escape, he was furious. He demanded the hostages be returned, or the peace would be broken. The Romans, bound by honor, returned the girls. But Porsena was no brute. He was a man of valor, and when he saw Cloelia again, his anger melted into admiration. "You are braver than many warriors," he told her. "Choose any of your companions. All whom you name shall return with you to Rome." Cloelia chose the youngest boys, thinking they were least able to endure captivity. Porsena smiled and let them go. With peace secured, Porsena withdrew his army, giving up on restoring Tarquin forever. In honor of Clodia's bravery, the Romans erected a statue of her astride Horse 1 of the first women in Roman history to be so honored on the Via Sacra, the sacred way of Rome.